All right, thanks for making time. This short module is how to minister to someone with dementia. And I love this picture, as you know, it kind of like reminds me of what we do on each pastoral visit, where we have this attitude of attentive listening. I'm reminded too of the words of Jesus uh, when he told this story about a king uh, who said, "I was sick and you visited me." Uh, and the people replied and said, when did we ever see you sick and visit you? And the king's response was, whenever you've done it to one of the least of these, you've done it for me. And so that's what we do. We give these persons our full undivided attention. And so in this module, I just like to give you a broad understanding of what dementia is, and then what we do to conduct a short pastoral care visit with someone who has dementia. Dementia is actually a very broad name for many different kinds of brain diseases. So when you say someone's got dementia, you've got to go a little bit further and inquire exactly how the person is being affected, because different people are affected differently. But broadly speaking, it's slowly, gradually. So we've got to find at what point of the scale they are on. It slowly decreases that person's ability to remember things and also to begin to think. And then this affects the person's ability to perform simple daily activities. It's actually quite frightening. Sometimes they've even forgotten how to button their shirt, and things like that. So as I said, there's this slow change in behavior. It affects, because it's actually a disease in the brain. It affects your memory, it affects your speech, it affects concentration, it affects your reasoning, it affects even your imagination. So it's actually quite a difficult disease. And the sad thing is that at the moment, 1 in 10 over 65 have some sort of dementia or other. So remember that each person is different, and so we listen without judging. You've been with us on a number of these visits, and so we don't try to correct them. So let's say they keep forgetting your name. You don't say, "Oh, I'm so disappointed you forgot who I am." No, we just tell them who we are, introduce ourselves to them all over again. And our attitude is just to understand where they are. And actually, each time we meet them, they may present a little bit differently. So we don't assume that they're going to be the same as the previous time. And so we're there with them for the moment, and we just try to enter that person's world. And we don't try to bring them into our reality. We enter into their reality. So the person may speak, as if his parents are still alive, but very well his parents have passed away. We generally don't correct them. We just let them, and then we engage them. We ask about their parents. Yeah. Of course, where possible, we can gently lead them towards reality. We can steer the conversation a little bit. But if the person still wants to live in their imaginary world, that's where we interact with them. So great patience is needed. And just to remember, our short pastoral visit is part of a team effort. We're part of many people trying to give care to the person. But what we do, listening to them, engaging them, is important. So as I said, at least 10% over 60 have this, 50% over 85 years. So we really need to be prepared to minister to such people. There's no known cure at the moment. It's very sad when they forget even the names of their loved ones. They may even forget that they've had lunch, recently. And that's where you got to be very tactful and gentle with them. They may say, "Oh, why haven't we been fed?" They get upset, but it just eaten. You can't, you can't feed them again. But we have to try and distract them. They may repeat a sentence or a question they asked you just 2 minutes ago, but you try and answer as if you heard it for the first time. So this is what we do. If they are still, at home, they may lose things. They may misplace their keys. Very difficult is when their behavior begins to change. Whereas before they might have been very polite, now they're rude. Before they are trusting people, very kind people. Now they're very suspicious of everybody, and that is particularly hard for the caregivers, those who have known them, to take. So our role in being there for them is also to try and empathize with their caregivers, their next of kin as well. As I mentioned, they forget how to perform even the simple tasks like buttoning their clothes. Can't remember how to get home, and this is a particularly dangerous for people who want to go out and are still mobile, but then they get lost. They have found that the evenings are especially difficult. Somehow in the rhythm, the circadian rhythm of our physical, physiology, the evenings, they tend to exhibit more difficult behavior. So it's important, where possible, to keep in touch with the whole caregiving team so that we can compare notes. But as in all our visits, we try to convey this love, this environment of love and understanding, so that they feel respected, understood, and loved. And that's really what we're trying to do. So we assure them very often. We say to them, "You're deeply loved and respected." Sometimes we have to gently remind them, say, "Very, very sorry, you cannot have another dinner," and try to change the conversation. We always greet the person. We introduce ourselves. As I said, we don't make them feel bad by saying, "What, you've forgotten my name, huh?" So we always do things with their permission. I usually start with the usual greeting, "How are you?" I try to make a note of the important points they say and write them down and give a brief report of the visit. This is our normal practice. And so by collecting these notes, every time we meet them, we can maybe say some things that happened from the previous visit, and that helps. It's very good for them to keep repeating their stories. So never say, "I've heard that before, tell me something else." But what we can do is, when they tell us the same story, we can ask a little bit more about their story, so their story begins to expand slowly. So we can be curious and ask these questions. But then if we find that they are reluctant to talk about them, we respect their privacy and we don't pry too much. As I mentioned, we enter into their imaginary world. We don't try to correct them. We don't belittle them. We just accept them as they are. So slowly we build this small collection of important memories that the person has. And then we encourage them with any positive things that we notice, whether sometimes they are smiling. We say, "Oh, what a lovely smile you have." And things like, "Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that with me." So we just have to try to keep the conversation positive and encouraging. Yeah. And we remind them of some of the things they've said before. And we're trying to help each person write out a short message that he or she can pass on to his or her friends. It's not always possible, but I have that in mind as a goal. Yeah. So a quick summary. Our attitude is we're listening, we're not judging. We have to be especially patient with and understanding with persons with dementia. We welcome their repeated stories and we enter into their world. We try to think what they think and feel what they feel. And the main purpose of our short visit is to help them feel understood, respected, and loved.